Hello, friend of karmic affinity. The Buddha once taught that the mind is the master, and the mind creates all the joy and suffering of human life. Are you feeling exhausted right now because heavy worries and the darkness of uncertainty are invading your mind every night? We often mistake the battlefield for the harsh events out there. But in reality, the most arduous war is taking place right inside your soul. In today's journey, we will explore 7 profound Buddhist lessons to help you reduce anxiety, even in the most difficult moments of life. Take a deep breath and walk with me on the path to finding steadfast stillness right in the heart of the storm, so you may realize that peace has always resided within your own mind. Lesson 1. Thoughts are not the truth. Observe the complexity of your mind for a moment. The Buddha often compared our untrained mind to a mischievous monkey. It never sits still, but constantly leaps from the branch of past regrets to the branch of future anxieties. That monkey continuously screams and weaves dramatic stories that make you believe you are in a dead end. For instance, when you suddenly feel a slight pain in your body, the mind immediately paints a vision of a terminal illness and approaching death. Or when facing financial fluctuations, it whispers in your ear that you are about to be penniless and abandoned by this world in solitude. Our greatest mistake is rushing to believe that those voices are objective truths. But dear friend, understand a profound wisdom: thoughts are merely temporary psychological events. They come and go according to the habits of the ego. They are absolutely not you, and they do not accurately reflect the reality happening right now. I invite you to imagine your soul as a vast, deep blue sky, while those anxious thoughts are actually just clouds floating across that sky. There are days when dark, stormy clouds gather thickly, obscuring your vision and making you think the sky has disappeared. But in reality, the sky is always there, still and radiant behind every layer of mist. Clouds can never damage the sky, and anxious thoughts can absolutely never hurt the inherent peaceful essence within you. Whenever a negative thought arises, do not try to chase it away or argue with it. Instead, gently practice labeling. Slowly say to yourself, "Ah, this is just a thought." When you stop identifying yourself with the ghosts of the mind, worry will automatically lose its manipulative power and return to you your sacred freedom right in the heart of the storm. Lesson 2. Anchoring the soul in the harbor of the present. At this very moment, I invite you to ask yourself a very honest question. Which period of time does the anxiety you are carrying actually belong to? If you observe carefully with awakened wisdom, you will recognize a paradoxical truth. Worry can never reside in this present moment. Anxiety is actually a lonely and weary journey of the mind, as it constantly leaves the home of the present to drift toward murky tomorrows, where the worst-case scenarios have not yet occurred in objective reality. You are torturing yourself by trying to solve the problems of an illusory future and letting the ghosts of uncertainty steal the precious restorative vitality of today. We often mistake the idea that calculating every risk will bring safety. But in reality, moving away from the present only leaves your nervous system more exhausted and blurs the soul's insight. Understand a gentle truth. The future does not yet exist, and the past has completely vanished. Only this very moment is the safest land where you truly have the power to seek refuge and heal. Even if the world outside is turning upside down or adversity is surrounding you, right at this moment, your chest is still rising and falling rhythmically, and the solid ground is still supporting your form unconditionally. Peace is not the result of having calculated every step of your life. It arises when you bravely stop completely to be fully present with your breath. I invite you to direct your full awareness back to the body, lying very still right now. Feel the weight of your shoulders sinking deep into the mattress. Feel the warmth spreading in your palms and the rhythm of the delicate breath soothing your consciousness. Right now, no threat is truly present, and no disaster is happening in this quiet space. Every storm is only taking place within the mental movies that you script and direct yourself. You truly do not need to know the next 5 steps of your life's journey, and you absolutely do not need to carry an entire distant future on your weary shoulders in this darkness. The only thing you need to do to find balance is to be fully present with your next breath. Let this sacred reminder be the anchor that keeps your soul from being swept away. You do not need an entire perfect future. You only need the next breath. Lesson 3. Control is an illusion, and the power of equanimity. A great illusion that deceives us every day is the belief that strictly coordinating everything will bring safety to your life. We often spend all our vitality trying to mold the world to fit the expectations of the anxious ego, from wanting work to go smoothly to forcing loved ones to act according to our will. But the profound reality is that life never operates according to our dry plans. Trying to control things beyond your reach is like trying to squeeze a handful of dry sand in your palm. The more you fear the sand falling and the tighter you squeeze, the more the sand slips through your fingers and vanishes faster, leaving you with only emptiness and painful imprints on your weary hands. The anxiety you endure does not actually come from the world out there, but from your mind's tight grip for so long. True peace does not come from controlling external circumstances. It only sprouts when you bravely let go of the illusory control panel to return to mastering your only true power, mastering your inner reaction to every fluctuation of karma. In Buddhist teachings, this sacred state is called equanimity, upekkha. This is not an attitude of indifference or ignoring life. It is a sharp wisdom that helps you clearly distinguish between what belongs to the universe and what is your own part. You cannot stop the storm from hitting, but you have the complete right to choose to keep your mind as immovable as a high mountain before the wind. You cannot force others to always understand you, but you can completely choose to respond with compassion instead of being swept into weary anger. When you practice this equanimity, you will realize the peerless power of no longer warring with reality. Every burden of worry will automatically fall away when you accept that the world always operates according to its own laws, without the intervention of your weary will. Engrave this sacred truth to protect your freedom. True peace begins at the moment you dare to open your palm and let life happen as it is. Lesson 4. The worst days are where inner strength is nurtured. Let us silently look back at the darkest pages of your life, the days when you thought you would completely shatter and never be able to stand up again. In the wisdom of healing, suffering is not a cruel punishment of fate. It is actually a great furnace to forge the most profound and steadfast soul. Imagine the journey of a tiny seed when sown deep into the dark earth. In that place, there is only encroaching darkness, surrounding cold, and the 1,000-pound weight of soil and rock pressing down on it every moment. If that seed had an anxious consciousness like a human, it would surely be terrified and believe it was being buried in a lonely grave. But the miraculous truth we all know is that it is precisely that intense pressure and thick darkness that are the necessary materials for the rigid shell of the ego to crack. Only when that shell shatters can the life force within stretch out, push roots deep into the earth, and proudly find its way toward the radiant light of dawn. Your life is exactly the same. The worst days are actually the black soil covering your soul to nourish the most noble qualities, so they may sprout most radiantly. In Buddhism, there is a beautiful philosophy called transforming garbage into flowers, or turning poison into healing nectar. The traumas you have passed through suddenly become a treasure of compassion because you have suffered. You know how to love those who are crying because you have been lonely. You know how to reach out to the solitary, and because you have fallen. Your current steps become more cautious and mindful than ever. Do not hate the past, and do not chase away painful memories. Silently send gratitude to every storm that has passed. For they are the strictest teachers who taught you lessons of resilience and boundless patience. Tell yourself a poignant truth. If you are still sitting here and listening to these words, it means the strongest part within you has triumphed and survived through all the worst days of the past. It is those very broken pieces that have created your depth and radiant beauty today. Lesson 5. Not everything deserves your response. Close your eyes and imagine a lake as still as a mirror, deep in a quiet ancient forest. Every time a leaf falls or a small pebble drops, the lake simply receives it and lets the ripples naturally fade away without any effort to resist. The stillness of the water lies in the profound depth below, not depending on the minor fluctuations on the surface. Your soul is exactly the same, but the tragedy of modern humans is that we often turn ourselves into tennis balls, constantly and unconsciously bouncing back against every wall of circumstance. Someone looks at you with unkind eyes, and you immediately feel restless. A stranger criticizes you on social media, and you spend the whole afternoon drafting a rebuttal. Or a loud car horn in a crowd is enough to ignite the fire of anger within you. Constantly reacting to every external stimulus is the biggest cause of depleting your life energy and keeping your nervous system in a state of weary combat for so long. In the wisdom of healing, the Buddha taught us that true strength does not lie in being able to scream louder or resist more strongly. It lies in the ability to keep a sacred silence before taking any action. Remember that your mental energy is a limited treasure, and you must be a wise master who knows how to choose what is worthy of spending that precious capital on. Every time you choose to be silent and breathe before a provocation, you are not a loser or weak. In fact, you are the greatest winner because you have protected your own inner peace. Understand deeply the metaphor of murky water. If the lake is being stirred and mud rises to obscure the view, the only way for the water to become clear again is not to use your hands to push away the mud, but to stop all action and let the mud settle to the bottom on its own. Your unconscious reaction is like stirring the lake with your hands. It only makes everything more chaotic and murky. True freedom arises at the exact moment between stimulus and response. That is the wise pause, where you have the ultimate power to choose your attitude toward life. The next time you face an undesirable event, do not rush to speak or act according to old habits. Give yourself exactly 3 deep breaths to widen that space. In this sacred moment of pausing, wisdom will have time to speak up and remind you, this is truly not worth trading my precious stillness of soul for. This applies not only to those around you, but, most importantly, to the voice of the inner critic in your head. Every time that voice whispers criticisms or agonizes over past mistakes, you do not need to argue or explain. Treat that voice like a static-filled radio playing in the corner of the room. You still hear the sound, but you have no obligation to follow it or let it coordinate your emotions. Lesson 6. Transforming obstacles into the path to awakening. Imagine you are a traveler leisurely walking on the path of your own life. Suddenly, a great ancient tree falls across the path, preventing you from moving forward. The first reaction of the mind is usually frustration, resentment, and a feeling of total deadlock because all plans have been completely overturned. We have a habit of perceiving crises or sudden events as cold stone walls blocking happiness. But in the profound wisdom of the Buddha, Obstacles never truly lie outside. The obstacle is simply how you perceive that event. An awakened monk would not see that fallen tree as an endpoint. They see in it a sacred invitation to turn toward a new direction, or to stop and observe the beauties they have accidentally passed by in their haste. Suffering arises when your mind gets stuck in two extreme states: attachment and aversion. You are attached to the vision that the road must always be smooth according to your will, and you have aversion to reality when it does not go as the script your anxious ego has painstakingly arranged. It is this intense resistance that creates the heavy burden on your shoulders, not the event itself. In Buddhist teachings, there is a spiritual miracle called transforming poison into healing medicine, meaning you do not run away from pain, but you use that very pain as material to forge patience and deep empathy for human life. When a door closes, it is often a subtle signal from the universe, reminding you that the old path is no longer suitable for your soul's growth. Your daring to let go of stubbornness to follow the new flow is when you find the true strength of an unshakable soul. I invite you to have a silent dialogue with yourself through reflective questions right now. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try a gentler question. What lesson about letting go is this situation trying to teach me? Or, how is this event helping me recognize a latent strength that I have long forgotten? When you change your perspective from a victim suffering through a trial to an awakened student always willing to listen to life's teachings, you will see all obstacles suddenly become steps, bringing you closer to the harbor of wholeness. Hardships do not come to crush you. They come to break the rigid shell of the narrow ego, helping the light of compassion and wisdom within you shine most radiantly amidst this volatile world. Lesson 7. Faith is the antidote to fear and the anchor of the soul. We step together onto the final rung of tonight's journey of awakening to discover the most powerful antidote capable of destroying the roots of every seed of fear surrounding your mind, the power of true faith. Look into the murky night of uncertainty where the future is entirely a large question mark, and nothing is guaranteed according to human will. It is in the darkness of the unknown that fear often finds the most fertile environment to multiply and control your every thought. We worry because we feel too small and alone before the unpredictable fluctuations of the universe. We fear because we have lost the sacred connection with the very restorative power that always lies within us. But dear friend, I invite you to light the lamp of faith with me to see that uncertainty is not a threat. It is actually the space of the most miraculous possibilities. In the Buddha's wisdom, faith or saddha is absolutely not a blind belief in external miracles or a passive surrender to a cruel fate. True faith is a steadfast state of consciousness based on an understanding of the laws of cause and effect and self-confidence in one's inherent pure nature. To nourish this energy right now, I invite you to perform an act of grateful recollection by looking back at the entire journey you have traveled over the decades. Remember the times you thought you were completely exhausted and could not possibly overcome the losses or bitter failures. But look, you are sitting here and listening to these words, which means the strongest part within you has survived and triumphed over 100% of the worst days of the past. You are much more resilient and courageous than you ever imagined. And those experiences of transcending are the most empirical evidence for you to place faith in your own self-healing ability at this present moment. The power of faith is also firmly reinforced by the realization of the law of impermanence, or anicca, a sacred truth reminding us that nothing in this world is eternal, and even the most violent waves must eventually vanish back into the heart of the silent ocean. This pain, this anxiety, or this dead-end situation also follows that law completely. They were born from conditions and they will certainly perish when the causes have run dry. Fear can only dominate you when you believe this pain will last forever, but faith will tell you that this, too, shall pass. Imagine yourself as a boat traveling in thick fog. If you are afraid and stand still in panic, you will be stuck forever. But if you trust in the compass of wisdom and the stability of your inner rudder, you will calmly take each small step and surely see the dawn appear at the end of that murky road. Specifically, I want you to completely change how you perceive fear by viewing it not as an enemy, but as a loyal messenger, reminding you that you need to be careful and return to seek refuge in mindfulness more. Fear appears to remind you not to neglect your breath and not to stray from the present. When you know how to dialogue with fear, with love and understanding, you will see it suddenly become small and lose the ability to invade your soul. Faith in Buddhism always goes hand in hand with right effort, meaning you do the best you can within your ability with a pure intention, then bravely let go of the entire result to the flow of the vast universe. When you live with radiant faith and mindful effort, you are building for yourself a solid inner island, where no matter how the waves of anxiety surge, they can never reach your vast freedom. Our walking journey through the 7 gardens of wisdom is now gently closing to make room for the actual realization of your own soul. I invite you to store these 7 precious seeds deep in your subconscious to serve as the most steadfast baggage for every step of existence in the murky world ahead. Always remember that thoughts are merely clouds passing through the vast blue sky of consciousness. Anchor yourself in the safe harbor of the present moment and bravely release your hand from the sand of illusory control. Silently thank the storms that have passed through this form, for they are the fertile black soil nourishing the resilient life force within you. Keep your inner lake still by ceasing unconscious reactions to the world's agitations. See every obstacle as a step leading you toward the light, and let faith become the anchor, keeping the ship of your soul from being swept away in the ocean of uncertainty. Anxiety may still visit you like a guest from afar when you neglect your breath, but it absolutely no longer has the right to dwell in or master the radiant home of your soul. If the space of Daily Dharma Light brings you relief and helps your mind feel less heavy, I am honored to invite you to continue accompanying us on this path of awakening. Your presence and mindfulness are invaluable, wholesome energy that helps us spread healing light to all beings. May you always be healthy in body and peaceful in mind, complete in the inherent sacred stillness of your being. Engrave this final truth into your heart, so your mind may remain free and unchanging before all storms. True peace is not a life without storms. Peace is being steadfast and smiling right in the heart of the storm. May your body and mind be at peace. Goodbye, and see you in the next journeys of awakening.